You've got income, you've got bills, and somehow at the end of every paycheck, there's more month than money. Today, we fix that for good. If that sounds familiar, subscribe. This show is built exactly for this. This is Master Your Money. Welcome to Master Your Money, budgeting, saving, and debt-free living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner, where we use the Triggator Triangle to help you win with money. All right, welcome back. Or if this is your first time here, welcome. I am genuinely glad that you're here today because this episode is one I've been wanting to do for a long time. Here's the thing about building something from the ground up, whether that's a business, a family, or a financial life. There's always a moment where you stop and ask, why did I start this in the first place? Not because you've lost the vision, but because coming back to the foundation reminds you how solid it is. That's what today is. Episode 101, Triggator 101. We're going back to the beginning, not because the beginning is basic, but because the beginning is everything. The Triggator Triangle: budget, save, pay off debt. It's not a checklist to run through once and then move on from. It's a rhythm, a framework that you return to every single paycheck. And whether you've been with this show since episode 1, or if you've just found us 5 minutes ago, today we're going to give you something that you can act on before your next paycheck hits. Here's what we're covering. We're going to talk about what it actually means to budget by paycheck, giving every dollar a job before you spend a single one. We're going to break down the 4 layers of saving and why savings isn't just a number in an account. It's a strategy. And we're going to walk through how to eliminate debt with intention. Not panic, not guilt, but a real plan that fits your real life. No fluff, no filler, just the framework that changes everything and a clear path to making it yours. Let's get into it. And if you want a simple framework to put everything we cover today into action, I've got a free resource for you. The Money Made Manageable ebook at Triggator.com/ebook. It's built around the exact triangle we're walking through today, completely free. Grab it after the show. Let me ask you something. Have you ever checked your bank account midweek, not at the end of the month, not after a big purchase, just randomly on a Tuesday, and felt that quiet little panic? The balance is lower than you expected. You don't know exactly where it went. You're not living lavishly. You're not doing anything obviously wrong, but the money is just gone. That feeling has a name. It's called flying blind, and it's one of the most common financial experiences in America, not because people are irresponsible, but because nobody ever taught us how to give our money a destination before it leaves. That's what budgeting by paycheck is all about, and that's where the Triggator Triangle starts. You've probably heard the phrase, every dollar has a job before. It gets thrown around in a lot of personal finance circles. But here's what most people miss. It's not just a cute saying. It's a discipline. When your paycheck hits, there's a window, maybe a day, maybe a few hours, where that money is yours to direct. If you don't direct it, life will. The landlord, the grocery store, the random subscription you forgot about, they all have a claim on your money. The question is whether you have a claim on it first. A paycheck spending plan, that's what we call it here, not a budget. And we'll get into why in just a second. This is how you make that claim. You sit down, you look at what's coming in, and you assign every dollar before you spend a single one. What's left after that assignment is what you actually have to work with, not what you think you have, what you actually have. This is the difference between feeling broke and being broke. A lot of people feel broke because they have no visibility. A paycheck spending plan gives you visibility and visibly changes everything. By the way, we call it a paycheck spending plan on purpose, not a budget. You know why? Because for most people, the word budget carries a feeling, and that feeling is restriction, pain, deprivation. Nobody wants to sit down with something that feels like a punishment. But here's something else. At Triggator, budget isn't even a noun. It's a verb. In the Triggator Triangle, we don't have a budget. We budget. We take action. We make decisions. We direct our money with intention. A paycheck spending plan is the tool you use to do that. And a plan is empowering. An action is empowering. A noun, it just sits there. A verb moves. Here's a stat that might surprise you. According to a 2023 survey by Bankrate, nearly 74% of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck at least occasionally. And a significant portion of those people do have a budget. So what's going wrong? The monthly budget, it sounds logical. Plan your money for the whole month. Done. But here's the problem. Most of us don't get paid monthly. We get paid weekly, bi-weekly, or semi-monthly. And when your income arrives in chunks, but your plan is built around one big block, things fall through the cracks fast. You plan for the electric bill, but it hits before your second paycheck of the month. You plan for groceries, but you planned them across 30 days, and you're out by day 18. The monthly budget isn't wrong because budgeting is wrong. It's wrong because it doesn't match the rhythm of your actual life. A paycheck spending plan matches that rhythm. It moves when you move. It resets when you get paid. And it keeps you from that random Tuesday panic. So how do you actually do this? Here's the framework. 3 questions you answer every time a paycheck lands. And I want to walk you through each one carefully because the order matters, and it matters more than most people realize. Question 1, what's coming in? Know the exact number, not an estimate, not a rounded figure, the actual deposit hitting your account. That is your starting point. Everything else flows from here. Question 2, what has to go out? This is where most people start listing bills, and that's not wrong, but I want to share something more important first, something personal. When my wife and I built our very first paycheck spending plan as a newly married couple, we did exactly what you'd expect. We listed everything: rent, groceries, the electric bill, the phone bill, all of it. And as faithful Christians, we also knew that paying a tithe and making a donation wasn't optional for us. It was a non-negotiable. But no matter how we arranged the numbers, there was never enough left for the tithe. Every time we got to the bottom of the list, it just wasn't there. That's when something hit me. We were looking at giving completely backwards. We were trying to give what was left, and there was never anything left. So we moved it to the top. I can't fully explain what happened next, and I am not even going to try. But when we put our giving first, the numbers worked. Everything fit. And beyond the math, something shifted in us. Giving first put things in perspective. It helped us to make better choices. It brought a balance that we hadn't been able to find before. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe or where to give. That's entirely yours. But whatever cause brings you joy, whatever organization or community or mission moves you, I want to invite you to try giving something first, even something small. There are more good charities and worthy causes in this world than I could ever list. Pick one, put it at the top, and see what happens. After giving, it's time to protect life. Food, shelter, utilities, transportation. These are the non-negotiables that keep your world running. Fund them next, every single time, without exception. Then, and we'll go deep on this in a few minutes, savings. Savings is not what you do with what's left. Savings is a non-negotiable line item, just like rent. It gets funded before your wants do. Always. Question 3. What's left and where does it go? Once giving, life protection, and savings are funded, now you look at what's left. And here's how you work through it. First, obligations. These are debts and bills that don't fall under protecting life. Things like minimum debt payments, subscriptions, or other recurring commitments you've made. These need to get paid. Your debt payoff strategy, it lives here too. And we'll get into that just a little bit later. Then the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. Dinners out, date nights, hobbies. Life isn't just about bills and obligations. Your plan should have some breathing room in it. And finally, a life happens line. Because it will. Every plan needs a small cushion for the unexpected week. Here's the hard truth though. Sometimes the wants in the third category have to come off the plan for a little while. When I was deep in my debt payoff journey, satellite TV fell off of my paycheck spending plan. And honestly, it never came back because once it was gone, I realized I didn't actually want it. I just had it out of habit. Items that aren't obligations are negotiable. And just because something falls off the plan today doesn't mean it can't come back someday. This is not forever. It's just for now. Here's something nobody talks about enough. Budgeting isn't just a math problem, it's a confidence problem. When people say, I've tried budgeting and it doesn't work for me, what they usually mean is I made a plan and then I felt terrible when I didn't follow it perfectly. And that guilt spiral is one of the most destructive forces in personal finance because guilt doesn't motivate, guilt paralyzes. Think about diets for a second. Have you ever set a really strict one? No carbs, no sugar, no fun whatsoever starting Monday. How long did it last? A day? A week if you were really committed? Here's the thing though, a diet was never supposed to be a short-term deprivation. If it is, the weight always comes back. A real diet is a lifestyle. It's not about starving yourself. It's about making healthy choices you can actually sustain with some enjoyment built in for life. Your finances work exactly the same way. A paycheck spending plan isn't a financial straitjacket. It's a healthy financial lifestyle, one that you can follow for the rest of your life, with room for the things that actually matter to you. Progress over perfection. Every paycheck is a fresh start. According to a 2022 study published by the Journal of Consumer Research, they found that people who broke financial goals into smaller, shorter timeframes reported significantly higher rates of follow-through than those working towards longer horizon goals. The paycheck spending plan is that principle in action. Shorter cycles, more wins, more momentum. If you've seen Project Hail Mary, Ryan Gosling, Spaceship, one man trying to save the entire planet, there's a moment early in the film that stopped me cold. Grace is talking to a crewmate before the mission, and he admits something vulnerable. He says he doesn't think he has the bravery genes, that he's not built like the heroes around him. And the response he gets is simple, quiet, and it's everything. It's not a gene. You just need to find someone to be brave for. I want you to sit with that for a second, because that is the why behind everything we're building here. Not the math, not the 3 questions, not the framework. The why. When you put giving first on your paycheck spending plan, you're not just allocating a dollar amount. You're declaring that something matters more than your comfort. When you protect life before anything else, you're saying your family comes before your wants. When you build a plan and stick to it, even imperfectly, you're being brave. Maybe not bravery genes brave, but for someone brave. For your kids, for your spouse, for the version of yourself 5 years from now who gets to live without financial stress. You don't have to be a financial hero. You just have to find your reason and then build a plan worthy of it. If this is speaking your language, if you've been winging it paycheck to paycheck and you're ready to actually give every dollar a job, subscribe on YouTube or hit follow on your podcast app. This is exactly what we talk about every week. And the Money Made Manageable ebook at Triggator.com/ebook is a great place to start building your first paycheck spending plan. The budget side of the triangle gives every dollar a destination. But here's where most people stop. And it's exactly where you can't afford to. Now we're going deeper into the save side of the triangle, because saving isn't just one thing. It's 4 distinct jobs. And if you're not funding all 4, you're leaving yourself exposed in ways that you might not even see coming. Stay with me. Let me paint a picture for you. It's Tuesday night. We seem to be coming back to Tuesdays. And you're sitting down and putting together your paycheck spending plan. Everything is accounted for: giving, life protection, obligations. And then you get to savings. And the thought that crosses your mind is, I'll save whatever's left. Here's the problem. There's never anything left. Not because you're failing, not because you don't make enough, but because money without a destination finds one on its own. And it's rarely the destination that you would have chosen. Saving whatever's left is not a saving strategy. It's a wish. And wishes don't build financial security. Saving has to be a non-negotiable line item in your paycheck spending plan, funded before your wants, every single time. But here's what most people miss. Saving isn't one thing. It's 4 distinct jobs. And if even one of those jobs goes unfunded, you're exposed in ways you might not see coming until it's too late. At Triggator, we call these 4 funds your peace of mind funds. And today we're going to walk through all 4, what they are, why they matter, and how they work together to change your entire financial life. Let's start with the one most people have heard of, the emergency fund. And I want to be really specific here because this is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal finance. An emergency fund is not for everything unexpected. It's for true emergencies: the job loss, the unexpected medical bill, the transmission goes out on your car without warning on a Tuesday morning when you have somewhere to go. These are the events that have no rhythm, no predictability, no category on your paycheck spending plan because by definition, you don't see them coming. Now, building an emergency fund can feel overwhelming if you start from zero. So here's how we think about it at Triggator. You don't climb to the top of a ladder in one jump. You take it one rung at a time. Your first rung is $500. That's your quick win, your proof that this works, your first real cushion. The next rung is $1,000. Now you can handle minor emergencies without flinching. From there, $2,000. Now you're equipped for the most common ones, the ones that used to send people reaching for the credit card. Then, 1 full month of expenses. And from there, you climb 1 month at a time until you reach 6 months of expenses fully funded. That's the top of your ladder. 6 months of protection from the significant emergencies, job loss, serious medical situations, the things that used to be catastrophic. 1 rung at a time, every paycheck a little higher. Your emergency fund is your financial shock absorber. It sits there quietly doing nothing until the moment it needs to do something. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And if you're a returning listener, you already know what's coming. But stay with me because this one is worth hearing again. And if you're brand new here, welcome to one of the most important ideas in the entire Triggator framework. Most people have a category of expenses that they treat like emergencies: the car registration, the Costco membership renewal, back to school shopping, the annual insurance premium, holiday gifts, the oil change. These things hit, they bust the budget, and the reaction is always the same: I didn't see that coming. But here's the truth. You did see it coming. You just didn't plan for it. These are not emergencies. They are alligator expenses. And here's what makes them dangerous. They don't live inside the monthly budget. They hide just outside of it, below the surface, the way a real alligator hides below the waterline, still, patient, drawing closer and closer without making a sound. And then snap, the car registration hits, the holidays arrive, the renewal charges on your card. Their prey always knew the alligator was lurking. The question was never whether it would strike. The question was whether the prey had a plan. The alligator fund is your plan. You audit what's coming, every non-monthly expense on the horizon. Divide the total by the number of paychecks between now and then, and set that amount aside every time you get paid. When the alligator surfaces, you're ready. No panic, no credit card, no busted paycheck spending plan. Just money you already saved, doing exactly the job you assigned it. Let's talk about something that might surprise you coming from a personal finance show. You need a fun fund. Not as a reward for being good with money, not as a someday maybe, right now, built into your paycheck spending plan as a non-negotiable line item. Here's what the fun fund is, and more importantly, what it isn't. It is not a slush fund. It is not a free-for-all account you dip into whenever the mood strikes. It's a planned, assigned savings goal for the purchases and experiences that bring you genuine joy and fulfillment in your life. The vacation that you've been putting off, the new bedroom furniture you've been wanting, the weekend getaway for your anniversary, the new piece of gear for the hobby that actually fills you up. These things matter. They are part of a full life, and the goal is not to eliminate them. It's to stop going into debt for them. Think about what it would feel like to book a vacation and pay cash for it, to buy furniture without financing it, to take a weekend trip knowing it's already covered in your plan. That's what the Fun Fund makes possible. You save for joy instead of borrowing it. You arrive at the experience debt-free instead of paying for it the next 18 months with interest. Lastly is your retirement fund. This is your future paycheck. Here's where I want to challenge the way that you think about retirement savings. Most people treat retirement like the last item on their list. You cover everything else, and if there's something left, maybe you put a little away. Does that sound familiar? Think about how taxes work for a second. Your employer doesn't pay you your full salary, and then you set aside your taxes and pay them at the end of the month. Taxes come off the top. They get deducted before you ever see the money. You don't make a decision about it every payday. You don't negotiate with yourself. It just happens automatically, consistently, without effort or thought. And then you plan with what's left. Retirement savings should work exactly the same way. Not what's left, off the top, before you plan, before you spend, before you even see it. Because here's what retirement actually is. It's not a finish line. It's a future paycheck. The day will come when you will stop working, either by choice or by circumstance. And on that day, the question won't be how hard you worked. It will be whether you paid yourself enough, consistently enough, over enough time to generate a paycheck that covers your life. Your retirement fund is you writing checks to your future self. Every paycheck, non-negotiable, automatic, just like taxes. If you've seen Inside Out 2, and if you have kids, there's a good chance that you have, you know that the whole premise is built around emotions taking up space in a control room, each one doing a specific job. Joy does her job, sadness does hers. Anxiety shows up in the sequel and immediately tries to take over everything. Your peace of mind funds work the same way. Each one has a specific job. The emergency fund handles fear. When the unthinkable hits, it answers. The alligator fund handles anxiety. It takes away the power of the expense you could see coming but weren't ready for. The fun fund handles joy. It gives you permission to enjoy life without guilt. And the retirement fund, it handles hope. The quiet confidence that your future is going to be okay. When every fund is doing its job, the control room is calm. When one goes unfunded, when anxiety has nothing to work with, that's when the chaos starts. Build the funds, staff the control room. Let each one do exactly what it's designed to do. I want you to stop for a moment and imagine something with me. Imagine a life where something truly unexpected hits, a real emergency, and you have the money set aside specifically for that moment. No panic, no debt, just a fund doing its job. Imagine a life where the Costco renewal, the oil change, the holiday shopping, the car registration, none of them surprise you. None of them bust your plan because you saw the alligator coming and you were ready. Imagine a life where the vacation gets booked, the furniture gets bought, the memories get made, and not a single dollar goes on a credit card because you saved for joy instead of borrowing for it. And imagine a life where you know with certainty that when the day comes that you stop working, you will have a paycheck waiting for you because you paid your future self first, every single paycheck without fail. Wouldn't that give you peace of mind? Not just financially, in your marriage, in your sleep, in the quiet moments when life gets hard and you need to know that the foundation is solid. That's what the peace of mind funds are designed to deliver. Not perfection, not millions in the bank overnight. Just steady, compounding confidence that comes from knowing every dollar has a job and every job is getting done. If that hit close to home, if you felt the specific weight of knowing something is coming and having nothing set aside for it, the Money Made Manageable ebook at Triggator.com/ebook walks through exactly this. It's free, no strings attached, worth grabbing before your next paycheck. You now have a plan for your money coming in and a strategy for what to save for and why. But there's one side of the Triggator Triangle we haven't touched yet, and for a lot of people, it's the heaviest one. Coming up, we're talking about debt. Not the guilt of it, not the shame of it, but the actual, practical, empowering plan to eliminate it intentionally, strategically, and for good. So let's talk about debt. And before we go a single step further, I want to set something straight. This is not a guilt session. We are not here to shame you for the balance on your credit card, the student loans you took out, or the car payment you're carrying. Debt is not a moral failure. It is a mathematical problem, and mathematical problems have solutions. The question is not how you got there. The question is what you do next. And what you do next is build a plan, your plan, in your order at your pace, and then work it with everything you've got. That's what this side of the Triggator Triangle is all about. Here's something worth understanding before we talk strategy. You are not alone in this, not even close. According to a 2024 report by Experian, the average American carries over $104,000 in total debt. That is not a small number. And the weight of carrying it, the mental weight, the relational weight, the way debt quietly colors every financial decision you make is real. But here's what I want you to hold on to. Debt is not permanent. It can feel permanent. It can feel like a fixture of your life, like something that will just always be there. But it's not. It's a number, and numbers go down when you hit them consistently with a plan. So what does that plan look like? At Triggator, we talk about 3 primary approaches to intentional debt elimination, and the best one is the one that you'll actually stick with. The first is the debt snowball. You line up your debt smallest balance to largest, completely ignoring the interest rate. You make minimum payments on everything except the smallest balance, and you throw every extra dollar at that one. When that balance is gone, you take everything that you were paying on it and roll it into the next one, and then the next. The snowball builds momentum as it rolls. This method is powerful not because of math, but because of the psychology. Quick wins fuel motivation. Motivation fuels consistency. Consistency eliminates debt. The second is the debt avalanche. You line up your debt's highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. You make minimum payments on everything except the highest rate debt. You attack that one first. Now, mathematically, this saves you the most money over time. If you're motivated by numbers and efficiency, this is your method. The third one is custom order. And this one doesn't get talked about enough. Sometimes the right move isn't the smallest balance or the highest rate. Sometimes it's the debt that is causing you the most stress, the one tied to a relationship, the one that has the most emotional weight, the one that if it were gone would change how you feel about your entire financial life. Your debt payoff order doesn't have to follow a formula. It has to follow your life. Here's a concept that might be the most underrated idea in all of debt elimination. We call it the snowflake. A snowflake is an extra, unplanned dollar that finds its way into your debt. The Starbucks visit you skipped and threw that $5 at your balance instead. The $20 you saved switching to a cheaper cell phone plan. The rebate check that showed up in the mail. The side hustle income from a Saturday afternoon. Individually, these feel insignificant. A snowflake is just a snowflake. Small, weightless, barely noticeable. But snowflakes accumulate. And when they land consistently on your debt, every small amount, every rebate, every found dollar, they add up faster than you'd expect. They shorten your payoff timeline. They reduce the interest you pay. And they build a habit of attacking debt with urgency rather than treating it as a background fixture in your life. Every extra dollar is a snowflake, and snowflakes stacked together become something powerful. Bear with me here because I want to take you back to a classic, Rocky. The original 1976, Sylvester Stallone is the small-time boxer from Philadelphia who gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot against the heavyweight champion of the world. Nobody gave Rocky a chance. The math didn't work in his favor. Apollo Creed was bigger, faster, and more decorated, more experienced. On paper, the fight wasn't even close. But Rocky didn't fight Apollo Creed's fight. He fought his fight. He trained the way that worked for him. He got up every single morning and ran those steps, not because it was the most sophisticated training regimen in boxing history, but because it was his, consistent, relentless, and built around what he was actually capable of doing every day. Your debt payoff strategy is Rocky's training montage. It doesn't have to look like everyone else's. It doesn't have to follow the most mathematically optimal path if that path doesn't fit your life. What it has to be is yours, consistent, relentless, and built around what you actually do every paycheck. And here's the thing about Rocky most people forget. He didn't go into the fight thinking he had to win. He knew he had to go the distance. And if he could do that, he'd already won his fight. He would do what no one believed he could do. Your debt payoff works the same way. Going the distance, meeting the goal is what matters. Some people pay it off in a year. For others, it might take 7. The timeline doesn't define the victory. The finish line does. You just have to keep getting up. I want to close out talking about debt with something that isn't strategy or a framework or a step-by-step process. I want to talk about what's on the other side. Because here's what happens when you eliminate debt intentionally. The money that was going to minimum payments, that money doesn't disappear. It stays in your paycheck spending plan. It just gets reassigned to savings, to your fund, to your retirement, to giving more, to working less, to options you didn't have before. It is your way of reclaiming your paycheck instead of giving it to a lender. Debt elimination isn't about deprivation. It's about buying back your future choices. Every debt you pay off is a payment you'll never make again. Every balance you zero out is weight you'll never carry again. And the day you make your last payment on whatever debt it is, in whatever order you choose, that day feels like putting down something heavy that you forgot you were even holding. That's what we're working towards. Not perfection, not overnight transformation, just a plan worked consistently, paycheck after paycheck until the weight is gone. If you've been in that seat, staring at a balance that feels permanent, wondering if you'll ever actually get out from under it, subscribe on YouTube or hit follow on your podcast app. This is exactly what we talk about every week. And the Money Made Manageable ebook at Triggator.com/ebook is a great place to start building the plan that gets you there. You now have all 3 sides of the Triggator Triangle: a paycheck spending plan that gives every dollar a job, 4 peace of mind funds to protect everything you're building, and the intentional debt elimination strategy that fits your real life. We're going to bring it all together and I've got a challenge for you before your next paycheck hits. Here's what we did today. We took 3 sides of the Triggator Triangle: budget, save, pay off debt. And we didn't just define them, we lived inside them. We built a paycheck spending plan that gives every dollar a job before it leaves. We stacked 4 peace of mind funds that protect your life from the expected, the unexpected, and everything in between. And we built a debt elimination plan that doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to go the distance. This is not a system you run through once and shelf. This is a rhythm, a way of life with your money that gets easier every paycheck, builds confidence every cycle, and compounds into something that changes not just your bank account, but your marriage, your sleep, your options, and your future. The triangle isn't a concept, it's a commitment. And today you took the first step towards making it yours. Here is your challenge before your next paycheck hits. I want you to actually do this, not just think about it. Sit down tonight or maybe tomorrow morning, whenever you do your best thinking, and write down 3 things. First, write down your next paycheck amount, the exact number, not a guess. Second, write down your top 3 non-negotiable expenses, the things that absolutely must be funded first. And third, write down 1 peace of mind fund that you don't currently have, but know that you need. Just 1. Name it, write down what it's for. Now, you're not building the whole system tonight. You're just getting clear. Clarity is the first move, and the first move is always the hardest one. Take it tonight. Your future self will thank you. Here are 3 questions I want you to think about, and I genuinely want to hear your answers. Which side of the Triggator Triangle feels the strongest for you right now, and which one needs the most work? If you could eliminate 1 alligator expense from your life starting this paycheck, what would it be? What would your life look like 1 year from now if every side of the triangle was fully working? Email me at podcast@triggator.com. I read every single one. And message me on Instagram, Facebook, or X @Triggator. Seriously, reach out. These are my favorite parts of doing this show. If this episode helped you, follow the show so that you never miss a week of the triangle in action. Leave a review, especially if today gave you a framework you can actually use. Share this episode with someone who needs a fresh start with their money, because everybody deserves a plan that works. And don't forget to follow @Triggator on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube for tips, encouragement, and behind-the-scenes content. Everything that we covered today, the paycheck spending plan, the peace of mind funds, the debt elimination strategies, it's all inside the Money Made Manageable ebook, laid out in a simple framework that you can start using before your next paycheck hits. Download it free at triggator.com/ebook. No strings, just the tools. And if you're ready to stop planning on paper and start executing with a tool built specifically for this, the Triggator app puts the entire triangle in your pocket. Your paycheck spending plan, your peace of mind funds, your debt payoff strategy, all in one place, all working together. Start your 7-day free trial at triggator.com. No credit card required. Because the triangle works even better when you've got the right tool helping you run it. So speaking of alligators, next time we're going to go full alligator season. It's mid-year and there are expenses quietly lurking in the second half of your calendar that you may not see yet. Back to school, the holidays, annual renewals. We're doing a full mid-year money check, auditing your alligator fund, reviewing what's coming in the second half, and adjusting your spending plan now so that future you doesn't panic later. If the alligator caught you off guard today, next episode is your chance to be ready. Don't miss it. You made it to the end of Triggator 101, the triangle that changes everything. And I want you to know something. The fact that you're still here, that you listened all the way through, that you're thinking about giving first and building funds and going the distance on your debt, that is not nothing. That is everything. Most people never start, and you just did. The triangle doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be intentional, one paycheck at a time, one side at a time. That's how everything changes. Now, go give every dollar a job. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. We'll see you next time.